Headlines burning, chaos on the feed. Woke mob shouting what we're allowed to read. Aliens landing while the pundits cry. Hollywood melting while the markets fly. Anthony! The Conqueror!
Welcome to the next video. This is my UFO episode 1. So Anthony conquers UFOs. Straight away, I believe in UFOs. I believe in aliens. Whether they're from space, a different time, a different dimension, I don't know. I've seen some strange things in the sky, and a lot of the time they can be debunked, but sometimes they cannot. Now we've had a crazy few years. The Trump administration's talking about disclosure. So are we on the precipice of finding out the truth? Again, this goes back to my ghost video. We don't know what the truth is anymore. With AI, all the videos we see, people just say, oh, it's AI, it's AI, it's AI bullshit. And I can't argue with that because a lot of them seem too good to be true. So I found a video that I've not watched yet. And the reason I've chosen this one is from Skywatch TV. Go ahead, like and subscribe. It's a smaller channel, but they post quite frequently, and they've done this new 5 shocking footage from 2026 so far. I'm kind of tired of seeing videos from many years ago. The only advantage of seeing really old UFO footage is you know it can't be AI, apparently. So let's just get in there and have a look.
On January 12th, 2026, a mass UFO sighting took over multiple cities across Brazil, quickly becoming one of the most discussed UFO incidents in the country in recent years. Throughout the evening, residents from different states began sharing videos of what appeared to be the same unusual object moving through the night sky. Across the videos, the UFO appears as a luminous, cigar-shaped object gliding rapidly through the sky. In total, 4 videos were shared online, each recorded in a different city at around 8 p.m. The first sighting was reported in Miguel Pereira, in the state of Rio de Janeiro. Shortly after, a similar object was filmed in the state of Goiás, nearly 600 miles away. The third and fourth recordings came from Ribeirão Preto and Ibitinga, both located in the state of São Paulo. Beyond these 4 videos, there were additional reports from at least 2 other Brazilian states, although no footage from those locations has surfaced so far. According to eyewitnesses, the object was flying low and fast, did not follow a steady route, and instead vanished abruptly without fading or slowing down. The sheer distance between each sighting raised immediate questions, with some speculating that the same object could not have traveled such vast distances in such a short time, which led some to believe these were separate sightings of similar UFOs. A common explanation put forward was that the phenomenon could have been related to a Starlink satellite launch.
Okay, I was waiting for them to say that. I've actually seen Starlink myself in the skies above here. This is not acting the way Starlink did. When I saw Starlink, it went in a straight line and it looked like a series of like 10, 20 different lights connected and going in a straight line, and very fast too. This doesn't look like Starlink. Also, what holds a lot of validity to, or validity rather, I'll get there, to any UFO claim is when other people are taking the same footage but from different angles. I remember years ago there was one where we saw a light go all the way down onto the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. It stayed for a few seconds and then shot up, and this was before AI. What made that an interesting case is there was like 20, 30 videos from tourists, different angles, some from a distance. That's what you're looking for. So this holds a lot of, weight to the argument. But what is it exactly? We've seen these rods for years. They look like glow sticks, and the way they move is kind of weird because they kind of stay in a position but kind of just tilt, so they don't actually tend to turn with the flow they're going. So I'm starting to think, is this more of a satellite type situation? Who knows?
However, many witnesses strongly rejected this theory. They noted that the object moved much faster than typical satellites, appeared significantly brighter, and was flying far lower than any satellite would. What made this case even more compelling was its
This is it. I was waiting for it. I think I've seen this one before. Seeing anything in the daytime so much better with the light. People still use potato cams to get UFO footage, and it's amazing because we can. Some people claim they can zoom in on their phone to the moon's surface and see craters, but yet we can't zoom into something, a few 100 feet in the sky or 1,000 feet in the sky to take a clearer photo.
connection to a previous incident that took place on August 9, 2025, when a similar cigar-shaped object was recorded in Rio Grande do Norte, Brazil. In that case, the object was filmed in broad daylight, offering a much clearer view of the UFO. Despite the many witnesses, recordings from different locations, and both daylight and nighttime footage, just like many similar cases involving cigar-shaped UFOs, this sighting remains unexplained. This next sighting
They aerodynamically just don't make sense. That's the thing, which makes me think, are they more of a type of balloon type of thing, where they're not designed to travel, or are they a type of weather balloon used in South America or certain parts of the world? So perhaps a light metallic frame with helium. Think of the old, airships from before World War II in the early 1900s. Could it be something like that on a smaller scale, and it's a weather balloon, and some sort of university is making them and pumping them out and don't really care to update everybody on what they're seeing, or just like to go along with the fun? I don't know. I know aliens have to exist, but sometimes I see footage like that, and I'm not saying it's fake or hoaxed in any way, but I'm just thinking that's not what I would expect advanced alien technology to look like. Basically, a cigar floating in the air. It doesn't even make sense aerodynamically. Like a sphere, I get it because that's quite aerodynamic. The air can bend around it, but a cylinder, I don't know. It just doesn't really make sense. So intriguing.
takes us to January 14th,
Oh, another potato can.
2026, in Pflugerville, Texas, where a mysterious object was captured completely by chance during a live
It's always
stream.
Texas.
The streamer, known as Chicken Andy, was broadcasting when he and his viewers noticed a strange triangular formation of lights in the sky. Right away, Andy said the objects didn't look like planes, mainly because of how still the orbs appeared. At first, the formation looked like another classic TR-3B sighting, with 3 lights forming a triangle. But after watching for a bit longer, things started to get weird. The bottom left light slowly began drifting to the side and eventually faded out of view. This made it clear that it wasn't a single solid craft, but 3 separate objects. A few minutes later, the top light did the exact same thing, sliding to the left and fading away as well. What makes this case interesting is that Chicken Andy isn't a UFO researcher or enthusiast. His streams are usually about traveling, exploring, and meeting up with other streamers in real life, so this wasn't something he was actively looking for. Some people suggested the lights could have been military flares, but that explanation doesn't fully add up. Flares don't usually stay perfectly still for several minutes and then move off one by one. Others suggested they might have been planes, but none of the lights showed blinking navigation patterns, remaining steady the entire time they were visible. In the end, while drones and planes were mentioned as possible explanations, nothing truly fits the characteristics of the orbs seen in the video. Because of that, the origin of these strange objects over Pflugerville remains unexplained.
Okay, we've seen that's the old classic one, the triangle of lights, and yeah, we said years ago it was an aircraft, and now the lights drift off. It could be just drones. It could be people playing a prank. It could be military drones. Perhaps they all feed off a central drone and then drift off. The reason I say that is we had the New Jersey incident. Was it last year or just before? And that was a lot of drones that we had never seen before. A company has come out and claimed it, but there seem to be different types. So there's a lot of drones we're not aware of, not just commercial drones, retail drones that you can get from your local supermarket, but research drones, military drones, medical drones, whatever it may be. So it could be that, or it could be the real thing here. So again, we just need clearer image. And I remember years ago seeing a formation in the sky that was quite similar, but it's definitely not military flares. I've seen military flares, and they do sink, they go down slow. But what I saw, I thought was a UFO, and then it turned out to be skydivers who had like a light on them as opposed to flares. Um, and they moved ever so slowly because they were so far off in the distance. I don't think that was the case here because one moved horizontally. So it's either the real thing, a top secret military craft slash drone that we're not aware of, or someone's playing a prank with actual drones. So who knows? To see what's next.
This
Another
sighting
potato
happened in
can.
April 2025 over Moscow, Russia, but it only really blew up online in early 2026. The video shows a strange saucer-shaped object moving across the night sky. What stands out right away is its lighting, with several lights that appear to be rotating around the craft and a much brighter green light glowing in the center underneath. There also seems to be a faint trail behind it as it moves, which only adds to how unusual it looks. Throughout the video, Russian air defenses can be seen repeatedly attempting to intercept or take down the UFO. However, according to official reports, despite numerous attempts, they were unable to bring the object down.
No, just a bad shot.
Authorities claim the object was simply a Russian helicopter mistaken for a foreign craft. However, many people strongly disagree with this explanation. The light pattern doesn't match a helicopter at all, especially the idea of lights arranged around what would be the rotor area and a large green light on the underside. On top of that, reports say the UFO didn't show up on Russian radar, which makes the helicopter theory even harder to believe. The faint trail behind the craft is another detail that doesn't really fit with normal helicopters. Because of all these inconsistencies, the official explanation has been widely rejected online. Many now believe the footage could show a real UFO, or at least something far more advanced or unusual than a standard aircraft. Still, with limited information and no clear follow-up, the true nature of this object remains unknown, and it's very likely we'll never get a clear answer about what was really flying over Moscow that night.
No, we never got an explanation. I remember when that happened, and it was one of the few UAP/UFO cases that I remember seeing on mainstream news. At one point, the Ukrainians claimed it was just a drone and it violated their airspace. Then that was denied. Then Russia claimed it was one of theirs, like he said, and then it was denied. Truth is, I honestly don't know what this thing is. At first, I think the more likelihood is that it was lower fog, so perhaps the clouds were lower, thicker humidity levels, could have been a stealth helicopter, hence why it didn't appear on either from the Ukrainians, from someone else, from the Russians, and didn't appear on the radar. And as its rotors go through the thick cloud, perhaps it gives off this rare 1 in a million effect. That's very plausible. However, it also is reminiscent of the Battle Los Angeles, what they call not the movie, but what happened in the mid-40s towards the end of the Second World War, when they thought Japan was attacking California, Los Angeles, and they saw this massive object in the sky and it stayed there for several minutes and they fired everything at it and it didn't move. That's unexplainable too. So yes, this could be the real thing, or it could literally just be a top secret aircraft. However, him saying, oh, the Russians, they couldn't bring it down, I think they just couldn't hit it. It was moving at quite a speed. It caught them off guard. And if they're saying it was a Russian helicopter or aircraft, and they mistook it, then that clearly is worrying for the Russians, because then it means that there's no communication going on between their bases, their aircraft, their forces in general. So, but there's also evidence that's been going on in recent years. So this could be... we'll never find out the truth to this, I think. That's what's intriguing about these UFO videos. You kind of have to make up your own conclusion on them. Let's see what the next one is.
Now let's take a look at two very similar sightings that happened just one day apart. Because of how alike they are, there's a chance they could be connected. The first sighting happened on December 25th, 2025, over Sacramento, California. The video shows a bright light racing through the clouds at an insane speed. The object doesn't move like a plane or a helicopter at all. Instead, it darts across the sky and then suddenly vanishes behind the mountains, almost like it shut off or slipped out of view. The second sighting was recorded the very next day, on December 26th, this time in Clayton, North Carolina. Once again, the same phenomenon can be seen, but this time performing different kinds of maneuvers. Both videos quickly went viral, pulling in over 6,000 likes and more than 1,000 comments. Among those comments, many people tried to make sense of the sighting, with the most common explanation being that the lights were simply powerful spotlights shining into the clouds. However, not everyone agreed with that explanation, pointing out that no light beams could be seen coming from the ground, which would normally be expected with spotlights. For such reasons, some believed the lights could be reflections caused by UFOs hidden within the clouds, or even cloaked objects moving above them. In the end, most skeptics brushed both videos off as simple light projections, while others remain convinced there's something more going on. With no clear proof either way, both sightings are still unexplained. But before we move to the next sighting, if you've been enjoying the video, please consider subscribing. It's free, and it really supports the channel. This next...
Yeah, go ahead and subscribe to his channel, Skywatch TV. So, these lights in the sky, I'm a bit skeptical of this one, because if you saw the videos and the reports, they're always happening during cloudy days. If it was a clear sky, would we see the same effect? And the reason I say that is because where I live, you only get a few cloudy days a year. Most of the time it's clear skies. And we have a massive new hotel 10-15 minutes down the road. And especially during the summer and when it's humid, they have these massive lights that project like the bloody Batman projector light, calling for Batman. And occasionally, if you get the odd cloud appear and it bounces off the cloud, it sort of illuminates the cloud. Other than that, they just disappear into the sky and you see a streak, don't you, like a beam of light. In this case, I'm wondering if there was no clouds, what would we actually see? Or is it something above the clouds, perhaps from satellite, and it's doing some sort of laser test or light test? I don't know. I just don't feel like it's a UFO type one. I don't think it's anything extraterrestrial. If it is, it looks like there was a bloody highway of ships doing that, just going back and forth. So I'm a bit skeptical about that one.
sighting took place on January 22nd, 2026, when a faint black shape was seen hovering in broad daylight. According to the witness, the object was very far away and barely visible at first, and they watched it for about a minute before recording. The witness also noted that after the short video ended, the object disappeared completely. The UFO was estimated to be around 5 kilometers away, and at one point, they considered that it might be something like a tarp. However, for that to be the case, it would have had to be absolutely massive to be visible from that distance. The object appears to have a triangular shape and looks almost semi-transparent. Even with heavy fog in the area, some details can still be made out, which only adds to how strange it looks. Additionally, the UFO doesn't appear to move erratically or behave like something being carried by the wind. The main explanation proposed was that the unidentified object could have been a murmuration of birds. However, the original posters strongly disagreed with that idea, arguing that from such a distance, a bird murmuration wouldn't even be visible in the video. Because of its unusual appearance, some people began to speculate that the object could have been a cloaked UFO. But with no additional footage, and these two theories still colliding, the incident remains unexplained. But
If it was a cloaked UFO, then you wouldn't see it at all. Otherwise, the cloaking would be pointless. I'm just going to Google something now because I've seen similar things to this when I was growing up, and I used to visit a family member with big open fields. We used to see something. So bear it with me. Yeah, that makes sense. I suspected it could be swallows. Now, in the UK, and I'm sure in France and other countries, North America, sometimes when you get hundreds, if not thousands, of small swallows together, and they form like a triangular pattern, and when they fly, it's so fluid and can almost look so solid. So when he says, or when the claim says, the person who posted the video, is 5 kilometers away, you wouldn't see them. That's not true at all. You can see them from miles away if there's enough of them, and they can look solid at times and then disappear, sort of transparent at times, because they're a flock. But the way swallows do it is so smooth, it's actually therapeutic and beautiful. What I just googled now was to find out when do they migrate south and when do they migrate north. So they usually migrate from northern hemisphere to the southern hemisphere around August to October, so end of the summer period, so they can go to warmer climate. And then they migrate back north of the hemisphere, so that would be the Sahara, let's say in this region, Portugal, Spain, France, UK, Sweden, etc. And they migrate between March and April. What are we in? We're in March, and this video is about recent sightings. So I would personally put my money on that being a flock of swallows migrating. Personally, if it was a UFO and it was cloaked, then it's failed its job and it's not cloaked. Tarpauling would be more solid. If it was anything inflatable, it'd be more solid. And I think added with the fog and weather conditions and being Portugal, which is a bit more humid and hotter than some other countries like the UK, I think it's just a perfect recipe here for a group of swallows migrating back north and probably on their way to the UK or Scandinavia, perhaps. That would be my theory. So not all of these we can debunk. The cigar one's mysterious. The triangular one intriguing, although I reckon possibly drones. You can see the drone shows that especially China can do. So nothing surprised me there. I think one of the better ones is the Russia-Ukrainian, let's call it the Russia-Ukrainian unidentified object. Looked very CGI, but it's not. And the fact that the military react, it's little things like that you want to look for when military reacts, when military says we don't know what something is, when there's mass sightings of something. This is when my ears prick up and I start to really pay attention. When it's just someone with a camera, no other witnesses, they see a blurry image in the distance using a potato cam, and anytime someone tries to debunk it and say, "Oh, um, it's anytime someone tries to say, oh, well, it's not that, it's not this, it's like you're very defensive about it, because if you really wanted to know what it is, you'd be open to people's suggestions. So a lot of the time it's just a case of I'm not saying hoax, but they want it to be something else, they want it to be real, when in fact I personally would put money on this being a flock of swallows, hundreds, maybe thousands of them, 5 kilometers away. Doesn't really look 5 kilometers if I'm being honest. We're looking at a ridge line here to that ridge line. It's probably a kilometer or two, and they're just on the other side. So we're looking at maybe like 2-3 kilometers away. But like I said, we used to see massive flocks of them in Cambridgeshire, in the UK when I was a kid, and you could see them like 4, 5, 6 miles away. So we're talking 8, 9, 10 kilometers away on a clear day. And mixed with the time of year and spring coming and then migrating back north, to me, it just makes complete sense. So anyway, well, that's the first video on UFOs. I like these ones. UFOs are a lot harder to explain when it comes to things like the paranormal. It's open to a lot more scrutiny, can be debunked, can be hoaxed better. I think when it comes to people hoaxing things like UFOs, a lot more resources has to go into it. So I think with the cases with UFOs, a lot of it is just, but when it comes to UFOs and anything space related, it leaves it a lot more open. So thanks for watching. On to the next video. Take care. Please like and subscribe.